We are in Mosul, but since neither of us knows where, let's say it's Afghanistan. There we meet Jake, a Marine who is currently going house to house searching for insurgents. Tom, their captain, is very strict with orders. Any local that appears during the mission must be subdued and tied with zip ties. They cannot risk being caught off guard. Soon after, they find a man crawling on the street. He screams he's in pain, but the language barrier prevents effective communication. Luckily, the shots are accurate and the man dies before he can get up, as he had a cable tied to his arm, which is connected to a series of bombs that surely would have sent the entire unit to St. Peter. Tom tells them to retreat and order an airstrike to clear the area, but Jake is confident he can disable the device and continue sweeping the houses. So Tom allows him to do what he knows, but orders the unit to move away and establish a perimeter. Jake manages to disable the bombs, but he barely takes 1 second to celebrate. The Taliban have arrived, and now the unit is under heavy fire. The battle is long, and soon much of the unit falls, leaving only Jake and his captain to defend the area until reinforcements arrive. Fortunately, Jake manages to grab the Humvee's machine gun and uses it to fend off the Taliban long enough for a helicopter to rescue them, especially Tom, who was injured in the blink of an eye. 8 years have passed. Jake is back home and works in a mechanic shop for his Uncle Earl. Used to be a gangster but has now transformed. At home, his wife Ashley waits for him with their son Weston. One pile of unpaid bills. If they don't catch up, soon they could lose the house. Jake remains positive, although that seems extremely difficult when everything around you seems to collapse at night. Weston asks him to tell him about his time in the army, and he says that those were difficult times and he occasionally talks to Tom. The next morning, Jake arrives at work and runs into some gangsters leaving his Uncle Fresh's shop. The leader threatens him and tells him that it would be best to catch up with the money or things will get worse. It turns out his uncle is being extorted by Fresh, and since he refuses to pay, they're there to teach him a lesson, but end up getting beaten by Jake, who doesn't take crap from anyone and defeats them with just one move. The men barely leave with their tails between their legs. All comes out of his office. The guys gave him a beating, but he's alive. Jake tries to sort out his thoughts and calls Ashley to tell her what happened. She worries about him and tells him to come home immediately, but Jake refuses and they need the money and he has pending deliveries. So at the end of the day he returns home, only to realize that Fresh is outside in his car. As soon as Jake gets out, the thug laughs and speeds away. When Jake enters his house, the place is a mess and his family's bodies are in the living room. Ashley died holding her son while a hail of bullets took both their lives. The police arrive and Detective Cod tries to ask Jack some questions, wanting to know if he has any enemies who could have done this. However, Jake doesn't respond and instead leaves in his truck to the city, where he finds Fresh's car outside a bar, quickly gets out, draws his weapon, and enters. As soon as he sees Fresh, he starts shooting, killing his henchman and reaching him. Fresh tells him he needed to learn a lesson, but before he can say more, Jake executes. A few months later, we are in San Quentin, where Jake is serving his sentence and receives a visit from Tamar, who promises to help him, but Jake is convinced that this is where he deserves to be. He has nothing left in this world and only waits for death. Soon after, someone else visits him. His name is Ramsey, and he comes from Tom. He wants to ask Jack some questions and nothing more. That night, while he sleeps, Jake is taken from his cell by armed men dressed in black. They take him out of prison and then introduce themselves to him. It is Ramsey who has an opportunity for him. Jake is a man with talent and skill. His abilities are wasted in prison, and he wants to help him get his life back. At first Jake is reluctant, but the offer seems interesting. Ramsey offers him a house, a car, and a new identity as a member of his elite force. Ajax, one of his companions, is curious about what the Marine can do and is not sure that Ramsey is making the right decision. So he challenges Jake to a fight, which he obviously declines, but Jax gives him no other option and attacks him from behind. In the end, Jake emerges victorious and proves to the group that he has the guts and talent to be part of them. Lisa, who trains Jake and shows him how everything works. Tells him they are an elite unit eliminating the world's scum. The next target is Alejandro Castillo, an arms dealer with no scruples who has caused more deaths with his business than a small war. Alejandro has recently acquired some very important plans that he intends to sell to the Russians. This cannot happen, and they must kill everyone present if necessary. The duo takes their direct flight to Mexico, where Alejandro will have his meeting with the Russian buyers. There they interrupt the deal, and in the gunfire exchange, Jake wounds Castillo. Once the situation is under control, Jake demands the plans from Alejandro, and when Alejandro tells him where they are, he executes him, but spares his wife who was hiding in the car. This does not please Ramsey, who scolds him for not doing his job. It is of vital importance not to leave witnesses. That's how things have been done, and that's how they will be done. We move from there to a 5-star hotel where we meet Locke, an expert assassin who is finishing a job. As always, his work is neat and without issues, but when he tries to escape through the casino, a guard tries to stop him and he has to fight to get away. Back with Jake, Ramsey has overlooked his mistake and informs them of the next target, a US senator who has strayed from patriotism and is selling weapons to those he shouldn't. The next day, the team arrives at the senator's campaign party. While they wait for their opportunity, Lisa enters the house and takes care of stealing the necessary information. However, she makes a mistake and security detects them quickly. The senator's agents take him out of the house and put him in his car. Jake, who is chasing the van, takes a shortcut over a small cliff and manages to get in front of the car, killing the driver and cornering the senator, who begs him not to kill him, saying he has a family, which makes Jake hesitate for a moment. To his surprise, Ajax shoots from the hilltop and kills the senator, nearly injuring Jake. That night, while Jake gets drunk thinking about his family, a group of men enters his house armed to the teeth. Since he can't defeat them, he decides to escape quietly, and the next morning he's at Tom's house asking about Ramsey and the tea. Tom doesn't have much to say to him. Ramsey is an old colleague who went private. He has nothing else on him. The only reason he talked to him about Jake is because he owes him for saving his life in Afghanistan. Jake asks Tom for some money and a gun, then returns to California, where he meets an old friend of his, Weston. This friend tells him that everyone thinks he's a hero for killing the mobsters. At that moment, Locke appears and starts shooting at Jack, who can barely get the boy to safety and run for his life. It turns out that Ramsey hired Locke to hunt Jack, as he believes Jack doesn't have the courage to do what's necessary and already knows too much about that. Locke loses track of Jack due to the police who showed up. Meanwhile, Jake is with Earl, but before they can catch up, the team arrives and attacks. With his uncle's help, Jake defeats the team. In the end, only he and Ajax are left, who want to bear this rematch. This time Jake loses the fight, but when Ajax is about to kill him, Lisa appears and shoots his partner in the back. Both Lee and Lisa confesses to him that she has wanted to leave the unit for years. They are practically well-paid slaves, but she longs for her freedom, so now they are a team. The only way to stop Ramsey is to kill him. So they travel to Montana, where the main headquarters is. As soon as they reach the outskirts, Lisa attacks Jake from behind, knocking him out and revealing she would never betray her unit. But since the rest failed, she decided to deceive him. Tom appears, Ramsey's partner in all this. But once alone, Tom frees Jake and they kill 2 guards. Upon arriving with Lisa and Ramsey, a shootout breaks out where Tom ends up being wounded and dies. However, he has time to settle his debt with Jake by giving him the opportunity to surprise Lisa, whom he kills with his own hands using a knife. Before Jake notices, Ramsey grabs a briefcase of money from the table and flees, but Jake chases him by car until he runs him off the road. While Ramsey mocks him, telling him not to hesitate if he's going to kill him, Jake proves him wrong. When there is no longer an enemy nearby, Jake takes the money and returns home, where he encounters Locke, who has been waiting for him. Jake tells him that Ramsey is dead. He doesn't have to follow his orders now, but Locke clarifies that he has already been paid and has a perfect record. something he plans to maintain. Although his name is Law, he moves like Euroboyka and the fight is impressive. In the end, Jake loses and is about to be executed. By sheer luck, he falls next to his weapon and shoots Locker, killing him at the last second. The movie ends with Jake taking a bus away from his city with the suitcase he stole from Ramsey and ready to seize this new opportunity life has given him. And that's how this great movie ends. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and thanks for